Good afternoon and a warm welcome to you all. Actually, I should change the slide because we are live now. Um, Thank you for joining us. I am so excited to be back online on a webinar with people delivering training. I was actually talking to the fellow presenters backstage and saying, I haven't done a webinar for some time. I'm really looking forward to this. So we hope you are too, and we hope you get a lot from this webinar as well. Please introduce yourself in the chat, where you're from today. And I asked a question at the beginning. What's that one thing that you've committed to doing for yourself this academic year? For yourself, doesn't have to be work related. Put it in the chat for us. I would like to know. Mine is to actually get more sleep. I don't really sleep well. So that is my focus this academic year, to get more sleep so I can be less grumpy. Once again, thank you for signing up. And here is our agenda for today. We're going to do the welcome, which I've more or less done, and I will introduce myself in a moment. I promise you that. And we're going to go and have a quick look at Classroom, Drive, and Docs. Now, this webinar is more about actually setting yourself up to have the most efficient, productive academic year. It's about getting you to think about how you could use Classroom, Docs, or Drive in a way maybe you haven't, that makes your life a lot more easier. So, and then also we'll be going to look at what's new with Google. We'll be talking about a little thing that I've been teasing about, affordable PD and supercharging Google for Education. So that's our agenda. But first, who is this man speaking to you live? So my name is Lawrence Tajani. I'm the founder of Happy to Host Education. I'm also a certified Google trainer and innovator, and I taught for about 9 years in a secondary school in Bermondsey. I'm joined today by the wonderful Wendy and Rachel, who are going to be getting into Classroom and Docs and Drives, and they'll come on shortly and introduce themselves. One thing I really want to highlight on this slide before we move on, Happy to Host is committed to working in collaboration with schools to help them get the best out of their technology. And the key word there is collaboration. To work with you to get the best out of the technology and actually make your life easier. So, before we get into that, I wouldn't say it's something we're not talking about anymore, but I just wanted to talk about AI. And I've been going into schools and, getting a mixed feedback about AI. But here's kind of my little view on it. I want you to think back to when Google came out, the search engine. I was in school and I remember the teachers discussing, oh my gosh, Google search engine has come out. It's over. All these young people are just going to cheat. They've got everything there. And fast forward, it's our go-to, even as teachers, to go and search for those questions. It's one of the things that I do. If I don't know something straight away, I go into Google and say, hey, how do we do this? So we started to embrace it, but rightly so at the beginning, we were a bit like, oh, it's change. Change isn't easy, but it is worth it. So we fast forward. There's a new frontier, artificial intelligence. But as technologies evolved, so did our methods of seeking knowledge. We're now entering an age of AI, where machines just don't provide information, but they learn, adapt, and to a certain extent, they now predict. And just before I carry on, I wanted to put this up. And I really am a firm believer of this quote. Technology will not replace great teachers, but technology in the hands of great teachers can be transformational. So it's in your hands. We're not replacing teachers. You are the heartbeats of our schools and our education system. AI isn't just another gadget or app. It's a palette of possibilities. For educators, it offers new ways to engage students, personalized learning, enhancing teaching methodologies. With platforms like Google for Education embracing AI, we're witnessing a shift. It's not just about teaching students to use tools, but about integrating these tools into the very fabric of education. How are we teaching our young people to interrogate the information they are getting? And actually, what's really important is comprehension, understanding what has been read, understanding what has been given to them. Imagine students using AI to analyze data for science projects, or create art, or to start their own business. AI can deepen the understanding and foster creativity, as well as creative thinking. For educators, AI provides insights like never seen before, quickly, from understanding individual students' needs to getting feedback quicker to students. It's also going to potentially speed up some of your workflows, some of the stuff that bogs us down from delivering outstanding lessons. It's a starting point. Embrace it. Other organizations are embracing it. Why shouldn't we? Every student is unique, but AI allows us to tailor educational experiences quicker. If you've got 24 students in your class, 30 students in your class, we can create those individual tailored experiences a lot quicker with the aid of AI to support, challenge, and adapt and pivot to our students' needs. So amidst all the talk of technology, let's not forget the core of education, the teacher. Machines can process, analyze, even predict, but it's your authentic self as a teacher, that passion, that dedication you have for your students. It's irreplaceable. So I challenge you, as we're nearly deep into this academic year, how will you harness the power of AI? How will you use this in your classroom? How will you use this to gain back time? Yes, I said that, gain back time. It's a possibility. So I leave that question with you. How will you harness AI this academic year? Now, moving on to classroom, we've got the lovely Rachel, all the way from Ireland, who's going to be presenting her tips and tricks of how you can set up your classroom for success this academic year. And I'm just going to bring in Rachel. Hi, Rachel.
Hi, Lawrence.
How are you doing?
Not too bad, thanks.
I'm really looking forward to your session. So I'm not going to talk anymore because I've taken up my allocated time. So I'm going to bring your screen onto stage and hand over to you. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. So, hi everyone, just a quick introduction. My name is Rachel and I am the Year 5 teacher and ICT coordinator at Rowandale Integrated Primary School, which is in Northern Ireland. So I just want to spend 10 or 15 minutes today just taking you through some of my top tips for Google Classroom and some things that I make sure that I do each year. And hopefully you will learn something new if you already use Google Classroom. And if you don't, I hope that maybe this will give you the motivation to get started. So first of all, I want to just take you through my first steps of how I set up my class and some tips that I give my colleagues whenever they're setting up their classes each year. And then just navigating around the different tabs within Google Classroom. And finally, then we're going to just jump into Google Classroom to have a little look at posting an assignment. So my first steps each year is just creating the class. If you haven't done so already, or if you haven't created a class before, when you're in Google Classroom, it will just be the little plus sign at the top right corner, and then you're going to go to create class. You've got this little box that pops up then to prompt you to fill in these different sections. I only tend to fill in the top one. It's the only one that is required. And just this year, I've started adding in the academic year date. It was a little tip I saw from someone else, and I thought it was really useful because when I go into my archived classes from previous years, I've got a lot of classes that are named the same from the past. And so I think just adding in the date each year will just help me keep on track of those. If you teach multiple classes in the same year group, you might want to fill in some of these other sections just to help you differentiate between your different classes. But the top one is the only one that really is required. The stream then, I want to just talk about a few settings that are there within Stream that sometimes people don't realize that you can change. The first one that I always change, and this is personal preference as well, it is whether you're going to allow your students to post and comment on the stream. I tend to always change mine to the second one, so students can only comment. That will mean that they can't start up a conversation on the stream, but they can respond to a question that I have put up or to a post that I have put up for them. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a little minute. And then the other one that I always like to turn off is to hide the notifications from the classwork on the stream. So I like to keep my classwork tab for my assignments, and I like to keep my stream for my announcements and posting little timetables and so on. So I don't like to have my stream cluttered up with lots of notifications every time I have posted an assignment. So I do tend to always turn that one to hide notifications. Again, that is personal preference, and some people don't mind the notifications from classwork being on the stream. So that one's entirely up to you. Another thing that I've liked doing over the past few years is just creating a little custom header for my Google Classroom. There used to be not that many options in there from Google for your header banner. I just went in last night and I see there are a lot more new ones from when I last had checked, but I tend to always go into Canva and make a custom banner within there. Canva or Adobe Express both have ready-made templates for Google Classroom headers, and they are the correct dimensions to go up in there. So to upload one of those, if you've already created and downloaded to your computer, you're going to go to the top right of your Google Classroom banner where it says Customize. And then this next little box will pop up where you will click Upload Photo, and that's where you will find the photo that you have already downloaded from Canva or Adobe Express. The select theme color is a new option probably about a year ago. So to change the color along the bottom, it's going to change all of your little buttons to that color. So you can change and personalize that whichever way you wish. The stream, so as I said, I like keeping my stream for announcements, for check-ins with the children, for links to websites that I might want them to visit. You can see on the image on the right here, I post a little homework image each week, which again I've created on Canva. I like keeping my stream for things like that. This one in the middle, the little rubber duck scale, was just a little well-being check-in that I did the first week of school. And I think by allowing the children to comment on your posts, it does provide a really good opportunity to discuss with them how to act responsibly on a discussion platform, and so that they know what will be acceptable and what won't be. And it's also good to highlight to them that you can turn that off if anybody is abusing your rules for your stream in any way. Something that a friend of mine who teaches in a secondary school uses his stream for. I hadn't actually thought about this, and I did know that you could do this, but if you look down at this bottom image, he would use his stream for posting announcements to specific children. Maybe he needs a child to remember to bring something in the following day, or he needs to remind a group of children about something. Whenever you're going to post something on the stream, this little box on the right where it says all students and the arrow, you can then select which specific children you want to get that announcement. So that is something that would maybe be really useful for some of you to use. The Marks tab then, it's along the top, it's the final tab along the top of your Google Classroom, and it's really useful to get a quick glance into the insights into who has handed in assignments or who hasn't. You can see here there's some green where it says handed in. The red ones will come up if a child hasn't handed it in, or it might say if it's done late. Any that have the ticks here are ones that I have marked and I've handed back to the children. In primary school, I tend to leave most of my assignments as unmarked, meaning that when I go to review children's work, I will post comments or perhaps use Mote for recording audio to give the children feedback, and I don't give them a grade or a percentage for their assignments. But you can turn that on and off, and that would make this Marks tab look very different for you. There are some new marking options available, and I'll go through those when we jump into Google Classroom in a minute. The comment bank then, this is another really good, useful feature that can save you a lot of time whenever you're marking work on Google Classroom. The little comment bank. So whenever you're in to review an assignment for a child, over at the right-hand side, this little kind of speech bubble with the dot in it is your comment bank. So you can add in there all of your, we all, I suppose, have our teacher language and our common comments that we leave on children's work. Me teaching in year 5, one of my most common ones you can see on the right, remember capital letters for your proper nouns. And so rather than constantly having to type those same comments, adding those into your comment bank is really, really useful. When you go to leave a comment then on a child's work, if you press the hashtag key, whenever you start to type, it will then bring up the comments that you have saved in your comment bank, meaning that you can just quickly click on one of those and that's that comment entered for you. I was just going to pop into my Google Classroom then to have a little look at posting an assignment. So the classwork tab along the top here, I have an assignment that I was starting earlier on, so that's why it's grey, and you can see that it says draft. So it is on a piece of work we were doing this week on Street Child. So if I go in to edit that assignment, I've already put in my title and my instructions. And if I go to Drive, I will be able to find that assignment that I wanted to give to the children. It's in my recent ones, so I can click on it and click Add. And then because this is an individual assignment that I want all of the children to complete, I'm going to go make a copy for each student. I could also add in there any other links to any material that might help the children complete this, or if I had any other photos or anything that I could upload, I could attach those into this assignment as well. A few new features in here, that if you have the paid version of Google Workspace, you will see there is now the option for YouTube interactive questions, and there is practice sets, which are both new features. If I go over to the right-hand side, then this is where I'm going to have some different settings for this specific assignment. This one here at the start, if you teach the same year group maybe, and you teach multiple classes within that year group, you might want to assign this task across your classrooms so you're not having to go in and do that individually. So you can select down here which classes you want to share that with. This one beside it then, if you click here, you will see your list of students. You may only want to send this assignment to specific students or a specific group. Your due date then, if you select your due date, there is a new feature in here whenever you have selected a due date, which is really useful. It's to close submissions after a due date. And I think especially for secondary school teachers, that's something that's really useful to help teach your students about working towards deadlines and the importance of making sure that if they have a deadline for something, that has to be done by that stage. If you have that ticked, it will mean that the children aren't able to submit their work to you after the due date has passed. Topics then, if you have arranged topics within your Google Classroom, and you can select which one you want to put it into there. If you haven't got a topic created yet, you have the option there to create your topic. Down here, there's a few new features, or features maybe that you haven't realized before. If I go to set category, there's some new little features in here. Again, this is one that I don't tend to use in primary. Oh, sorry, that's just froze on me. I have to just quickly open that one up again. Sorry, that one froze on me. So within the set category, you can select whether you want the children to receive a grade, and it can go right from A all the way down. You can delete those categories out if you don't want to have all of those. As I say, I normally go to this part and go unmarked, and we would just give our children comments then on their work. Setting a grading period, that's a new feature as well. So that will allow you to help organize your marks tab a little bit better, and you can set your grading periods maybe per half term or per term. And whenever you have those set, you would be able to select in there which marking period you want this assignment to go into. Rubrics, not something that we use a lot in primary school, but something that is very useful. So within there, you're able to set a very specific criteria for your children, that they know for this specific assignment, this is exactly what you're looking for. And they will be able to see your marking criteria if you have attached a rubric. This button at the bottom, again, very useful for post-primary secondary teachers to be able to check plagiarism. This will give you an originality report for the children's work. So when you have all of those bits done, it is then just quickly saying assign for that. If I just pop back into my final few slides, this is a new feature that is not available just yet, but something that will be really beneficial and hopefully save a lot of time. If you work with a number of colleagues within your department or a year group partner, this new feature will allow you to share your classwork with a colleague. So there will be a little share classwork button that will appear within your Google Classroom. It's still just in the testing phase at the moment. So just finally, I hope you've picked up some tips and tricks maybe along the way there. So some top takeaways, or maybe a few things that you could have a go at if you haven't already with Google Classroom in the next few days. Create your classroom, have a go at creating a custom banner in Canva or Adobe and upload it to your Google Classroom, and then maybe use your stream for some kind of check-in, a little fun check-in with your class. So thanks so much for listening, everybody, and I'm just going to pass over to Wendy now to take us through our next part.
Thank you. And thank you for inviting me back here, Lawrence. I can't imagine you ever being grumpy, so I don't believe any of that from the beginning, but more sleep definitely sounds perfect. So in case anyone's not met me before, my name's Wendy Pesquet. I'm now a CAMI Teacher Success rep, so I've been there a few months, and I'm also a Google trainer, innovator and coach, and an ISTE certified educator. And I'm going to take you through some tips in Google Drive today and some in Docs. So it's all about that efficiency, speeding you up, making you a little bit more organized. So that's the premise that I'm working to today. And I'm going to do that purely by demonstration. I'm not going to go into a slide deck or anything. So you are looking at my Drive here straight away. And in case you've not seen it before or not noticed, if you right click on anything that's in your Drive, any folder, you can actually organize them and change the color of them. And you can see that I've done that here on this top folder because this is the one I'm using today. Okay. And you can also right click and rename. And if you noticed, everything is in alphabetical order, except my back to school isn't in alphabetical order because really it should be down here somewhere. But all I've done is when I renamed it, I've actually clicked on and added two little stars on here, and they will come before A. So a number or a symbol will come before A. So if there's something you temporarily want to bring up to the top of your Drive, just pop a number or one of those symbols there and they'll magically appear right at the top of your Drive. So that's your first little tip. The second thing is, if you've forgotten what you've called your file, you can still search for it in Google. If you can remember a unique word that's actually in your document or in your image, because Google does search using OCR, optical character reading. So if I know that I had this great image and I had it in a doc as well, but I can't remember what it's called, but I know it had the word nuclear in it. So if I now search for that, you can see that one of these files is still untitled. One is actually called labeled animal cells, but that untitled one, if I open it, it will show you somewhere in it, it's got the word nuclear. So that's what it's picked up in my search. So that is a really great tip for you if you're not that organized and quite often forget to name your stuff, or we're just busy teachers, you know, we forget things sometimes. We're allowed to do that. So that's a really good feature for you. And something else you may not realize, because it's one of those things, unless you've seen it, you might not have come across it. I can actually right click on an image file and I can open with Google Docs. And let's see what it does. It will whir a little bit. And what it will do, it will put the image into a Google Doc. But what it will also do is strip the text out of the image and also put that in a list underneath. So if I've got any image that's got text on it, I can pull it out here. Now that might look a bit untidy. The animal cell bit really could go at the top here because I want that to be the title, and I could get rid of a couple of these little bits here. But what it's really done, even with a little bit of tidying up, it's given me a set of headings now. So if I'm doing a bit of revision or I'm trying to pull a report together and I've taken some stuff off of an image, I can actually use these as the heading titles and start writing my report or writing my revision notes. So that's a really handy feature just to be able to do that. And just to note, it will call it untitled because the name of the image was untitled. So don't forget to go in and give it a title. Okay, make sure you put a title on it. So that's two little tips you've had already. So hopefully they've been useful. The next one I want to do is going to take you away from your My Drive and get you to look at your priority, because I found that when I go to visit schools that this priority area pretty much gets overlooked by a lot of people. So let's have a look at what this priority area does. And what it will do in the first bit is give you suggested files. So basically it's telling me you've opened these documents soon, so I think you're still working on them. You might want to open them again. So if you've been working on a lot of resources and you need to go back to them the next day, there's no need to go and find them in your drive. They'll be in your priority area, so you can open them directly from there. So that's your third tip. Also, there's something called Spaces. Again, this is in your priority area and it's called Workspaces. And this is an area for collating and collecting files that you work on or you use for a particular project or function. So if you need, when you're doing lesson planning, a particular set of files open, you can put them in a workspace and keep it set up. If, like me, I was doing the diverse ed planning and I needed all of these files to do that, so I put them in a workspace so that they're always in one. It's not a folder. These files were all in different folders in different places because of the types of files they were, but they're pulled together in a unique space in the workspaces. So let's have a quick look at that. If I click on create and I click on projects, I'm going to imagine it's a project. This could be just me writing an end of month report or an end of year report, but just for ease, I'm going to call it project. Click on create, and what it does, it now says you've got 25 file limit, and you can click on add files and you can grab them from wherever. So they can be from your recent. So I can say, well, I'll add this one and insert it. And I'll add some more files. And this time I want to go into my drive and I'm going to grab another file from this area here and bring this one in. I'm putting a whole mixed in. You can see that. But once I've done it, I just click on done. And I've now got a project area set up. So next time I am working on this particular project, I just need to view the workspace and I'm in there ready to pull up all the files wherever they are on my drive so that I can get into it quickly, because finding those files can take 10 minutes. And this has now organized me. I'm ready to work straight away as soon as I get in there. So I'm hoping that's a useful tip. If you see something useful, please put it in the chat and say, yay, it's new for me, or, yeah, I do that one, or this saves me hours. Just let's have a little bit of conversation, because we love that when we're training. So the next stuff I'm going to do is I'm going to take you into Docs, and we're going to have a little look at some of the features you may have used or you may have overlooked in Docs, but they're things that will speed you up and just make you that little bit more efficient when you're working in it. So the first thing is having a change of owner or expiration. So let's put my capital in there. I can put that because the other one's got it on. So if I want to change my owner, when I click on share, I have got a couple of people that I've shared this document with. If I click on it, you can see that I can transfer ownership. So if I'm now no longer doing a particular project, I can move and change that ownership and pass that project on to somebody else. Or if I'm a teacher that's leaving, I can put everything in a folder and transfer the ownership to my manager or to the HR team, whoever is the person that I should be transferring it over to. But it's always good to do that, to transfer your stuff. Don't just leave it there hanging for other people, but click on transfer. It does give me an option to say the new owner will be notified and they could remove you. So be aware when you transfer it, you will become an editor. And then the owner can actually take you off. So only transfer things when you really know that's going to be useful for you both. Okay, so we've done the first one. If I click on share again, notice when I click on something, I can also add an expiry date. So if I want Lawrence to be able to access this document, but I really only want him to access it till tomorrow midnight, I can put tomorrow midnight on there. And when I click on done, the link that's been sent to them will just expire, so they won't be able to get back into that document. So if you're asking someone to proofread something or you're giving someone access just for a temporary time, it can help to tidy up your drive and stop you from oversharing documents. So that's a really useful feature in there for you. So change of owner and expiration dates, always useful. The one thing to notice about changing owner is you can only change an ownership within the domain. So if you're in an educational account, you can't change that owner to a personal Gmail account. That just won't work. Okay. And when you change the owner, the other person does have to accept. It's not just an instant thing. Okay. So just keep those tips in mind. The other thing that's really useful is to be able to collaborate with comments. So whenever you've got any words or an image or a video or anything on screen, you can just double click it and you can add a comment. And if the little tip here to add is if you use the @ symbol and start typing their name, you will actually be able to, oops, it didn't pick it up then. Sorry, that was me not clicking properly. It will also send them an email, and I'm going to put check this, please. Okay, just like I did at the top. And this is now assigned to Lawrence. So when I assign it here, he'll get an email to tell him to pop in and come and check this information. And if it was correct or incorrect, needed a change, he can actually use the reply to just have that conversation with me. So we can keep that conversation working and we can collaborate through our comments. Now, I found this really useful when working remotely. When I'm working in a team and my team are not in the same office, this is a lifesaver. Thank you. So Lawrence has told me he's finished for the day. I hope not, because he's got to finish the end of the webinar, but let's hope he's joking. But we can see that we can actually have those comments through there. And I found this invaluable working remotely. But as a teacher, I use this for giving feedback, and my students can keep in contact with me and keep updating their information and getting new bits of tips to help them improve their work through the comments. Always a really lovely way of working. So comments, really, really useful. That @ symbol, really good because it emails them and lets them know. The other thing I've found that people miss out quite a lot is using the outline for easy navigation. So if you're not sure what the outline is, it's this section over here. And sometimes it's closed down like this so you don't see it. But if we click and open up this show document outline, you'll see that all of these areas here are not just a list, they're actually clickable links that take me back and forward through sections in my document. Now, they haven't appeared by magic, they haven't appeared automatically, but how you make them happen is to make something with the preset headers. So I'm just going to take this one off. I'm going to change this one back and choose normal text. And what you'll notice is that has now disappeared from my outline. So when I want to make a header or a title, instead of making it bigger and bolder up here, just go and choose one of the preset headings. It doesn't matter which one you choose, as long as you're consistent through your document. And as soon as you use the preset headings, it automatically makes it bigger and bolder, but it also makes it a clickable link. And the reason that's useful is because if you're a sighted user, you can look through and read that quickly skim read it, find the bit you want and jump straight to the part of the document you want. But probably more importantly, if you're not sighted, if you're using a screen reader, normally what happens when someone uses a screen reader on a document like this, it will force them to read the whole thing out. But if you've been savvy and you've put in these preset headers, the person using the screen reader can listen to the first bit, hit the tab, and it will jump through to the next one. Hit the tab again, and it will jump through to the next again. So they can use it very much like a sighted user. And that's got to be time saving for everyone. It's good design. It's good design for learning. It's good design for everybody. So try to remember to do that. That's one of the ones that I think is a must. So Lawrence mentioned AI earlier, and what was it he called? A palette of possibilities. I really like that, a palette of possibilities. So I'm going to give you a little possibility now. I'm just going to jump into a really long document I've got here, and I'm going to copy the whole document. And I don't know if you've realised, but there is an area here for summary in your documents. So if you do have a really long document, the idea is you summarise it in here. But who's got time for that? Who's got time to write a long document, then summarize it? So this is where you start to use AI in a savvy way. So here I've got Bard open already, and I'm going to write, summarize this text. And I'm just going to paste it. Okay. And it will do its thing. It will just summarize it a bit. but it's still not summarized enough. Maybe I could say summarize it in a paragraph, but you get the idea. I've summarized it a bit. It's taken it from a couple of pages down to a couple of paragraphs. So now I'm just going to copy it back out of my Bard, click in the summary, and I can just paste that information into this area here. So anyone coming in to use my document now can actually just look at the summary and see if this is the document for them. So using AI in a way like that, that makes your document more useful, makes it more interesting and accessible to people. And also you haven't had to do any extra work, really. You've just used AI to do that. So I love that feature. I love being able to use AI sensibly to save me time. Another feature you might have overlooked, using bookmarks. And bookmarks are really easy to do. So you click somewhere that you want a bookmark to be, and you click Insert, and you scroll right to the bottom and you choose Bookmark. And it puts this little tab here. And basically bookmark is a bit like these little tabs that take you to a specific place in a document. But the difference is with a bookmark, you can copy the link. So I can just post in a chat or in an email, here's the document, but here's the particular bit I'd like you to read, and I can paste that link in, and when they click on the link, it will take them directly to that point in the doc. Again, takes you a second, but saves someone a lot of time looking for that particular part. So if you've liked any of these chats so far, let me know. Put it in the chat there. We like to see what you're finding useful, what you're seeing that's new, and things that you've generally used. So keep putting it in the chat. So the next bit, smart chips. These have all been coming in over the last year, and they're brilliant. I love them. I've set up a couple of smart chips here already, but I want to particularly look at people, files, and the drop-down menu here. So all I need to create a smart chip is just to click and just to type the @ symbol. There you go. And I'm looking for the owner, and I'm going to choose Lawrence as the owner of this project. So project 2, Lawrence is the owner. And the great thing about smart chips, it's not just put his name in there, but when I roll over it, it gives me the opportunity to see details, and it also lets me email, chat to them, and also start a video meeting straight from there, or set a calendar invite. So just by adding an @ symbol, it gives me all that feature ability so that I can go in and use it in a different way. I can do the same again. All of these smart chips work through the @ symbol. So I'm going to click on @ this time, scroll all the way to the, oops, not all the way down there, and open up my files. And I can say, right, this is the file that we want to look at. And we're going to put all our notes in here, Lawrence, with this project. And the progress chip, again, you can see the progress chip I've got up here. If I insert a drop down here, the drop down will allow me to create a new drop down, and I can put my own words in it, but it's already got a project status in. And I love that, because that just means I can click on it and I can say it's been blocked, it's in progress, or that project is completed. So very tidily, I've got a lot of things here. I can go and see what status the project's at. I can look at the notes we're going to create, and I can jump into a call straight with Lawrence straight away. Another chip, another one, we've got voting chips. So which date and time works for us? It is a way to gain consensus from your collaborators in your document and see which one they're most happy with. These could be ideas or suggestions or dates, anything. But again, you can just do the @ symbol, or you can just do insert. And you can use the smart chips, and you can add a voting chip. So they don't have to be like that. They can be your own custom ones, or they can be here. So I can go in, I'm going to do a thumbs up for this one. Lawrence, if you're in the document, or Rachel, you can also change it if you like, if anyone's in there. But if not, I can just go in and just add some more thumbs up for people. And you can start to see that we can collaborate using these voting chips. They were quite new, but I do like those. Really nice in a lesson. You might want to give students a suggestion for which top task we want to do next, and the students can vote on it. So really lovely features. And a couple more ats to look at. So these are ones you might have missed. Again, if I click on Shift and I start clicking and type in timer, I can add a little timer here, and I can change the time on it by just add in my time here and start playing it. So now I've added a little timer. So if you're doing activities, you can set a timer for the student for that activity, or you can just reset it. You can also do another @ for today. So I can do that and it will put today's date in. And when I click on that, it'll also give me the add time. I can do that as well. So that's a really useful thing. And you've also got a stopwatch. So all of these are just by adding an @ and type in the word. Oh, that one hasn't. Oh, I can't spell stop. That's why. There we go. Stopwatch. And you can get the idea. I can start a stopwatch very quickly and time how long things are taking. So some nice little smart chips have been added there. So look out for those, and you can see them under the insert or just by clicking on @. And then the very last one I'm going to do, because I'm up to my time, is the approvals. So that's really easy to do. You just do it from File, then Approvals. So File, then Approvals, and it opens up this sidebar and it makes a request. So you're saying to someone, can you approve this document? I can start typing in a name again. So I can put Lawrence's in. I can put a message in there if I want and a due date, and I can allow approvers to edit the document and also set it to lock before sending the approval request. So I can send that request now, and it will wait then for Lawrence. There we go. I've got to give him access. It will wait then for Lawrence to actually approve that document, to say, yes, this has been approved, and it's now locked from editing. So when it's gone into that approval area, I now can't change it, because obviously you don't want someone to approve it and then it be able to be edited again. So that's me. I'm all finished. I hope I've given you some tips. Please tell me what your favorite one was and the one that you think you're going to go away and use. All back to you, Lawrence.
Thank you so much, Wendy. Some fantastic tips there, honestly. And Rachel, thank you for your setting up of Google Classroom. You know, I always get on these webinars, and as an experienced trainer, there's always many ways to cut that vegetable, I say. You know, I put out these weird analogies, but hey, you get what I mean there. Okay. I know we're approaching time, and there's a few announcements that I do want to do. So we're going to quickly whiz through some updates that you may have missed over the summer. So Rachel has mentioned some of them. So I'm going to quickly go through them. You've got the ability, which is in beta mode, to share lesson planning. So like Rachel said, if you were in charge, head of department, you could share your template for your classroom. Just pay attention to the items at the top where it's got a teaching and learning and education plus. That actually correlates to if it's in the paid edition or Google for Education Fundamentals. This one I do love. You got the view speaker notes while co-presenting. That was a big thing for me. I like my little speaker notes, but had to have it on this screen and that screen and this screen. But actually, we can all do it in Meet now. I can control my presentation from there. And you can have multiple people presenting at the same time. So no more of that. Next slide, please. Move on to the next bit. Is the grading systems that Rachel also touched on there. That traditionally it's been numbers, points, or a percentage that we'll put in. But we needed a bit more flexibility. So for educators now, you can have a diverse grading option, such as letters or proficiency ratings, you know. So these are customizable scales. That means educators can choose from letter grades, proficiency levels, and even design your own scales as well. So that's a really good one that I'm looking forward to also using with my schools. Next one is just more flexibility in terms of if you're a multi-site school and you're working from different locations, there's no more of, hey, are they on this site? Are they in this building? You can now add that to your Google Calendar. This one, really great. If you're doing online, if you're doing streaming for like an e-safety event for parents or something else that you are doing, and you want to be able to moderate questions before they come in, because we've been there before where there's a question you're like, oh, that could be asked offline, you know, but now you'll get to moderate those questions and actually put the ones on there that are sticking to the point of the meeting, because we do get some questions that hijack a meeting, don't we? Next one, I am going through this really quickly. Just to say, I will send these slides out to you as well. Google Meet expands its language support as well for closed captioning. So there are now 6 additional languages as well. and that's available in all plans. And this one's a big one in terms of mail merge. You can now connect your Google Sheet to Gmail to send personalized emails to potential parents or stuff like that. Or if you've got like maybe a parents' evening request or something like that, that you can send that out. So imagine you can have up to 1,500 students or parents' details, emails, and send that, and it's personalized as well. You can have customized links in there for them. All you've got to do is set that up in Sheets. So really powerful tool there, especially for administrators as well. I'm going to fly through these. We've got obviously practice sets that is in the paid edition. Again, please, if you are using that, please let us know how you're using it as well. How are you finding it? And the reason why I wanted to go through some of these features is that I work with a lot of schools that actually are paying for the paid edition of Google for Education, but don't realize that these tools exist. And also, as Rachel said, is that you've got YouTube interactive questions. And this is really powerful to reinforce learning as well. So you can ask questions based on a video that you have shared with your classroom. Again, it saves time when creating those interactive video activities, and it's all inside Classroom. I think it was Ben who used to say this, using Google Classroom as your mission control. It's getting even more powerful. Don't even have to leave the platform. Oh, and this one, I actually spoke about this at I think it was at the Festival of Education, and I feel this piece of software is a real game changer and is very powerful. And I think particularly for our primary school teachers. So this is Read Along, which essentially listens to students reading and then helps them in terms of if they can't pronounce a word correctly, but it also tests their comprehension as well. This is such a powerful tool, and I can think of so many ways it can be used as well. But definitely Read Along. Go and do a Google on that. Really powerful. I see Rachel's excited about Read Along as well. Honestly, Rachel, it's a game changer. I do believe there are some tools that come out and I say, this is a game changer, particularly with students who may not have parents at home at particular times of day to be able to read with them. This is great. Then you can find out more information about your Google Classrooms as well. Surface important data. For educational leaders, get a bird's eye view of insights with the ability to drill down and identify students, classes, and schools that may need support as well. This is a really powerful tool to be able to get that bird's eye view of how the different classes or students are getting along. We've mentioned great, I love this one as well, disable submission after due date. It's one of the most requested features and ways to go and train. Like, how come a student can still submit work when it's past the deadline? They can't do that no longer. It's a bit harsh, some people might say, but actually it's getting them ready for college, university, so forth and so on. And then we've got the rich text editing when replying in line as well. So announcements. So if you're joining us later, if you're watching this on replay, this is something that I really was thinking about over the summer and going back to what our commitment was. Our commitment is to work with schools collaboratively. We know we're living in a time where costs are very expensive for everyone, including schools. So we wanted to give something that was potentially cost efficient for schools to use. So we're introducing the Happy Tales Education bi-weekly web series, which will be starting on the 18th of October. So what exactly is it? It's a series of webinars that are tailored for primary and secondary school educators. Like, there's been a lot of stuff that's going on today, but in these webinars, we will deep dive into Google for Education tools. We will focus on certain tools to make sure you become a power user of that tool. We'll explore the potential of AI in the classroom as well. And there's flexible timings. There will be every day, or every other week, should I say, on Tuesdays at 4 o'clock. Oh, I have a meeting, Lawrence. Don't worry, it's going to be recorded, and you'll get access to a site to see all the recordings and any resources that have been shared during that webinar. Our webinars are not just webinars, they're a community. With each session, we dive practically into insights, explore various subjects, get hands-on with the latest technology. And the best part, like I mentioned earlier, if you ever miss a recording, you can rewatch it, you can slow it down, pause it, take it at your time, okay? And here is just a glimpse of some of the sessions. I've got a big screen here of some of them. And they're going to be delivered by a range of educators who are in school, who are from different partners as well. So we've got some where we've got AI transforming education future. We've got an in-depth look at practice sets. We've got a look at how we can use video to enrich our classroom as well. And here are the dates. You will get all of these dates up front as well. Now, probably asking, okay, right, Lawrence, this hopefully does sound good, but what's the cost? Okay, so here's the cost. It's normally £99 for an individual teacher, but because you've spent your hour after school with me, I'm giving you 50% off, and we're giving 50% off the schools for a subscription as well. So it's normally £9.99. You will get that for half the price. And if you sign up by October, that is valid for. So you will get a unique code after this event to be able to sign up for this. So for schools, we've tried to make it as simple as easy for you to sign up. This will allow you to send 10 attendees to a webinar. If you would like to send additional people to the webinar, it will be £25 for each attendee. Now, we do think these costs for webinars are competitive, but we are looking to get feedback, and we're looking to continue to grow this as well. So we're hoping to turn this into a community where we'll have a chat where actually you'll be able to ask questions. We'll have bi-weekly drop-in sessions where, there's nothing formally on the agenda, but it's just to have a conversation. Hey, I'm trying this at my school. Has anyone done this? So we're trying to build a happy to host community as well. So its offer is only valid for people who've attended the webinar or who have watched it on replay as well. I'm a nice guy. And then the second announcement that I found was, second announcement I say, was when I go into schools, I tend to get approached by a range of different people to be like, what's next? What's the next tool? What are Google releasing next? To how do I actually set up my classroom? Or, Lawrence, we need training. What could you offer us? So what we've thought about is actually how can we support educators to supercharge their use of Google for Education? I'm sure there are some tools that I've mentioned in watching you for Google, and you're like, I didn't even know we had that. Is that possible? This whole dashboard and report will help you know what's available, will help you shape the next steps. So, as I mentioned, are you maximizing the use of Google for Education? Are you seeing the returns you hoped for when you started this journey? So, what this is a comprehensive Google form that will take you no longer than 10 minutes to complete. That was one of my key things when we were designing this form, that it would not take an age to complete. I know we're running close to time, but I'll go through this really quickly. It will evaluate, it will help us understand your context, the impact it's having on teaching and learning, assessing where your students and staffs are with their digital skills. And more importantly, for a leader, is evaluating the return of interest from your use of Google for Education. So you get to fill out this form, no longer than 10 minutes. Then after that, we will give you a personalized report where it highlights what is missing, your cost efficiency. a lot of schools I find sometimes stack tech. And they're like, actually, Google for Education could do this. Why am I paying for this as well? It's traffic lighted the report of where the areas you could improve on. What areas are you excelling at? It's clear and concise. No lengthy, tedious report. I don't like reading through these like mammoth task reports. It gives you that detail, but more importantly, it gives you your next steps. And after this webinar, I will send out an example of one that we have recently done with a college. So, another limited offer is this form is completely free for the first 10 schools to sign up. Right? Do you understand what I just said there? We're going to give you a free report of how you're using Google for Education. And you don't necessarily have to come to us to the training, but it puts you in good stead. It allows you to think about what are our priorities for this next academic year. So those are the two announcements. I was sending up a follow-up email with all the links in there, the slide decks and presentations, but definitely drop me a line and let me know if you want this report or this form beforehand. And to drop you that line, just DM us on Twitter, just saying yes, and we know what it is for, essentially. I'd like to say a big thank you to Wendy and Rachel for joining me today. Actually, let me bring them on screen. I'm not going to do them like that. I'm going to bring them on, add them to the stage. Just say a big thank you to you both. I learned many of your tips, as always, from both of you, and thank you. And to those who have joined us, a big thank you to you as well. If you've enjoyed the webinar, please do leave us some feedback. Please do tweet about it. We are a young company. That's what I like to say in terms of like, I might not actually be young, but a young company of how long we've been around for. But please do share it as well. And thank you to all of you for reaching out and engaging with it. Once again, a big thank you to you all, and have a pleasant evening. Thank you.